Welcome. We are back another day in the market. Just trying to fix my audio a little bit. All right, it should be good now. Let's turn the music down a little. Okay, I think that the audio is better now. If it's a little bit messed up, let me know and I'll try to get it fixed. And yeah, we are back. Lot to talk about, even though it's been a pretty slow market. But if you saw my tweet, we're looking quite exhausted over here. So let's talk about what's happening. We're going to be starting off with crypto. Then I'm going to be talking about other markets, and then we are going to be talking about the stock market. So let's get into it. First off, Bitcoin, it was testing the breakout of this ascending triangle, and you were above it for a little bit, and you did not hold it. So now you're back in it and just waiting to see which way this breaks. Ethereum has done a decent job on last Wednesday, went up 7% to regain the $2,000 level, which is quite important. A lot of highs here, then hopefully get to the second target of the swing at 22.91. Moving into other markets, the US 10-year just broke out of this wedge and then followed up since August 31st. Gold. Metals look pretty interesting right now in general. So this little wedge on gold has been playing out beautifully, but I also like how it broke above 2006. That was a little potential double top area in which it's now above. 2068 could be next. And then even if we look at silver, I actually shared SLV in the premium watch list last night. It broke out of this like much larger down sloping channel. There should be a metals ETF. Let me see if I can find a good one. XME, perfect. So if we take a look at a metals ETF, let me rechart this 1 second. And this is, a lot of people, especially newer traders, you just don't think about things like metals. But charts are charts, and take a look at this. Wow. On XME, metals and mining ETF, if you can just get above 54, there's like no resistance until 59. Let's go over to a weekly time frame and see how this looks as well. If we really zoom out here, it's like a big bullish pennant that's breaking out as we speak. So take a look at that. There's your bullish pennant on XME, metals and mining ETF. Give me 1 second. All right, so that's XME. Metals, keep an eye on them, all right? Let's move over into stocks. Before we do that, I want to quickly celebrate something. And I have a cool little new effect we can use on the streams now to do that. But we hit 10,000 followers today on Twitter, which is super cool. So what we're gonna do as a celebration for that is throw up some confetti. Isn't that cool? A cool little new effect for the streams. And let's do a little bit of fireworks too, because why not? All right, there we go. Shout out to all the 10K followers on Twitter. Do not follow me there. x.com/championbot. And let's move into stocks now. All right, we're looking exhausted here. Okay, what's up, Frank and Medic in the chat? Robinhood not sending my 2-factor authentication to my phone anymore, and you're locked out. Does not sound good. You're gonna call them tomorrow. A few years ago, they didn't even let you call them. You have to like email them. But yeah, let's. All right, why is there talking in the music? S&P 500. You hit this gap fill from the gap down on August 2nd. And now you showed pretty decent volume on a kind of nothing day. You closed relatively flat the last 3-4 days, apart from a small gap up you had, or a regular gap you had on the 22nd of November last Wednesday. It's been pretty quiet. So It's looking exhausted. We're losing momentum on the MACD. We're overbought on the RSI. And if we really zoom out here, that key level is 45.58. Bulls are not even able to get the price up to that level, really. If we get onto lower time frames, there's not much of a pattern here, especially on the SPY. There's just pretty much this support zone. I think it's on my 15-minute chart. This is SPX. Let's go over to the SPY. We look at this on the 15-minute. Let's delete that. It's really just this support. Like, you've not broken under 454. But if that breaks, that could really start this selling here. And yeah, today just really was not great price action for a lot of trades. There were a couple moves, but it's a pretty small range. But if we really just zoom out here, this is a 15-minute chart. Let's go to a 1-hour chart now. You can still see we're continuing to hang out around the pattern completion zone of this bearish shark. So at some point this might give, and like I said a week ago, I'd say that there still is room down to 441. It's only a 3% drop. There's a chance. Okay, so keep an eye on this tomorrow. I definitely will be in the morning. And if we go over to the 1-hour chart, another way to view this would be like that. All right, probably like this. A little bit of a triangle on a 1-hour. This is not the same thing. Let's see, Thursday, November 16th. Not the same thing? No, it's not. So 2 different triangles testing potential breakdown heading into tomorrow, if we're not including this wick from last Wednesday. And if this gives up, like I said, I'd probably stay down to 383 as possible on the Qs. Maybe not on the same day, but like a 1.5% drop, it's very doable, especially after the rally we've seen. And then the gap fill down at 377 after that. So that's how the Qs are looking. And if that plays out, that means that this breakout, the high of the year breakout, might not hold. And another key factor to this is kind of a shooting star here on the daily for the QQQ and the S&P. It's not perfect, but you did develop those candles. If we go over to like a weekly time frame now and zoom out, this is still technically just the retest of the pattern completion zone of this bearish shark on the weekly. Now here's the thing. You also have the potential for classic bearish divergence on the MACD and the RSI because of the slightly higher high that you've made. Okay, so these are some things to note looking at the market on higher time frames. The Russell 2000's really not done much for the past week after tapping the 200-day moving average. One that has been standing out, the sector that has been leading for the first time in a long time, is the ARK ETF. A lot of mid caps and growth stocks doing pretty well. Like a good example of that is Coinbase, which has been on an absolute run. And now the ARK is testing $45, which is a high from February and from September of last year. I mean, it's a level from way back in March of 2018 as well. So key level here for the ARK ETF. If that breaks, then say the next level after that's 49 from a couple of these highs. So that's how the overall market is looking. The sound is choppy. Let's try to fix that. All right, let me know if this is a little bit better. Thank you. So that's how the ARK ETF looks like. I did share a new swing today for everyone and 2 new ones in premium. The one I shared publicly was Zoom, classic bullish divergence on the daily, double bottom at a historical support. It's pretty much your all-time low support dating back to when this IPO'd. And really, if it can just cross the 200-day moving average, there's not a lot of resistance until 74, which is why the target's right there. And yeah, it's pretty simple. If we go over to the weekly as well, and we zoom out, you've got some pretty major classic bullish divergence on the MACD and RSI on the weekly. You could also look at this as a wedge forming on the weekly. A lot of different variables here. I'm not saying that this is gonna go ahead and do this, but even if it does like something like this, right? That little of a move will be like a 70% rise. So we'll see. And that is Zoom. In terms of the ongoing swings, Riot is in profit, up about 10%. It's over the 200-day moving average. It's doing its job for right now. Hopefully Bitcoin holds up. Mara pretty much the same, 2 days kind of holding around the same area. The Mara swing is up 11%. Lyft has really done nothing since it was alerted, unfortunately. Hopefully it starts to move. Still above support, so that's good. And that's pretty much it for the swings. Looking at some other stuff, Fisker had a pretty rough day today after a decent bounce. I mentioned this downsloping channel on Fisker last week, and I actually got in calls pretty much right where Fisker is right now at 183 last Wednesday, and those calls were up like 150% at the open on Friday because Fisker went up 28% off those lows, and then it gave back pretty much all of that today, unfortunately. Good volume still, oversold still, pretty much right back at the demand line of this channel. Tomorrow's a very key day to see if it can hold its lows, and then on lower time frames start to move and create a potential double bottom. But if it doesn't, then you're talking new all-time lows. All right. Moving into some other names, look at large caps now. Amazon broke out of the 145 level. That's pretty much a major inverse head and shoulders. Cutting in and out, but I can see you still talking. Not sure why it's cutting in and out. Alright, hopefully it's a little bit better now. I just try to reset it, not sure. What's up, Dividend Bull in the chat? So that's Amazon. Moving over to Tesla. I saw a tweet earlier today that Tesla's like one of the only major large caps that's not kind of made its run up to all-time highs. And this reminds me a lot of Nvidia. So take a look at this wedge, right? First thing we're going to do here is we're going to go use our Fibonacci from all-time highs down to its lows of the bear market. And you can see that Tesla went about halfway back up. All right, it retraced about halfway back up and started to create this wedge. We go over to Nvidia now. Sorry, not Nvidia. That's not the one I was thinking about. AMD. AMD's pretty much done the same thing. If we go from all-time highs down to its bear market lows, pretty much went back up to that 618, halfway back up, retrace level, created this wedge, and Tesla is pretty much comparative to this AMD chart. Tesla's like around over here. And you can see what AMD did pretty much with the same setup is go up like 20-something% and hopefully it still keeps going. So Tesla looks very similar to that on the weekly as well. We've been talking about it, the inverse head and shoulders continuing to develop. So we will see how that all continues to play out. Microsoft broke out of the cup and handle, continuing to make new all-time highs. Nvidia has two key levels up here. The first one is just all-time highs at 500. It retested that and rejected it. And then it also has like this 475-ish level. You can see these highs over here. And that's what it's currently back testing. So that's Nvidia. Apple, you have a bearish cipher on the daily. And that is starting to show a little bit of a pullback for right now. You hit the pattern completion zone. You got a shooting star on your top candle last Wednesday. And you pulled back just a little bit since then. Google, kind of still just creating this rising wedge with hidden bearish divergence. The key level is 139, and it's still testing that. So we just have to keep waiting and see. We already looked at AMD, MU, beautiful move after breaking out of, don't really have to look at it like this. It can just be looked at as a triangle. Pretty much broke out of this triangle, and it's been making a nice run up. And we will see what happens there. Coinbase has been on an absolute tear. On Friday, it broke above the third target of the premium swing. And then today it broke above 116, which is this high and that high. So now it's at 120. We zoom out over here. There's really no resistance until 150 and then 200 after that. So really interesting move off the lows for Coinbase. This is actually one of those stocks that, you know, IPO during the post-COVID crash bull market, that whole entire speculative huge bull market. It's one of those stocks that got crushed from that bubble that some people might call it. But this is actually one of the names that I think has a chance to go back to all-time highs. You know, I'm not saying it's going to happen within 12 months, but in time, I think Coinbase could see all-time highs. It's a very new chart. I mean, we're talking only since 2021. And on like a weekly time frame, this is the type of chart where you don't have a lot of resistance back up there. Of course, a lot of good earnings are going to have to happen for that to take place, and just crypto in general is going to have a good time. But that is something to note. A couple other names, AI testing the breakout of this 200-day moving average. It kind of has a similar looking chart to Mara and Riot. Gambling stocks have been doing pretty well. This is DraftKings, getting close to testing its next level at $40. Penn broke out of this wedge. Now it's testing a breakout of the 200-day moving average. Really, if it can just get above and hold above 26.5, that is such a key level. If it can do that, there's not a lot of resistance until like $37. If we go over to a weekly time frame on Penn, let's see if it works. It's close to a bullish bat. It's not perfect, but it's close to a bullish bat. And even regardless of any harmonics, you are starting to see bounce at the 886 retrace. All right. So that is Penn. And I did see someone tweet this out. Let me make sure I give credit where it's due. D-Book Trading on Twitter tweeted out Rocket, and I thought it was a pretty interesting chart. Yeah, take a look at Rocket over here. This trend line pretty much worked out, bounced, and now what it's doing is creating this little flag here, this bull flag at the 200-day moving average. It can get above, I'd say, like 950-ish, and there's not a lot of resistance until $11. So this is an interesting name. Let's see. Hoosier on the Kick stream said, representing what's up. Zoom out on ZM, no pun intended. Okay, we'll go back to the Zoom chart. Appreciate you for supporting on Kick. You know, it's a pretty small audience there for right now. We zoom out on the Zoom chart. We did it earlier. I mean, like, look, that $60. As long as it holds $60, like, it's at its floor. I don't know if that's gonna stay the floor forever. Maybe they make a basement and then an underground bunker. But for right now, that's the first level ground floor for Zoom, $60. So as long as it keeps holding that, this is one of my favorite charts right now, and that's why I put out the swing on it today. So that's the key. The stop loss is at $58 in case it does break it and break under these lows from pretty much Halloween. All right, if anybody has any tick requests, feel free to drop them in the chat and I will take a look. While we're waiting on that, just a quick reminder, you have about 3 hours left for the final sale of the year. Okay, if you want 50% off, not 40, not 30, not 20, not 10, I want a real sale, so I did a real sale. 50% off, half off, annual or monthly for your first subscription. I think the annual makes a lot more sense because it's 12 months, you're getting half off. And annual already is cheaper in time than monthly is. Like if you break down annual into 12 months, it's cheaper than monthly. You get 50% off a whole year. So you can use code Black Friday at wap.com/championvibe. That's a pin chat. You have the next 3 hours to do so. That's probably the last time I'm doing a 50% on annual until, I don't want to put a definitive date on it, but maybe until next Black Friday. I don't really do the 50. I do the 50% off monthlies quite a bit, just so people can try it out. But 50% off annual is very, very uncommon. So if you want to take advantage of that, you know where to find it, pin chat or wap.com/championvibe. Live trading options, weekly watch lists, swing trades. I alerted 2 new swing trades today. The option from today did fail. It was SPY calls. It was just like a really choppy day, but I had it as a fully riskable position size. And this was actually last week's results for options. I tweet them out publicly. But yeah, as you can see, 350% on SPY calls, 20% on XLE, only 9% loss on Mara, then 40% on SPY, 50% on SPY, and then close out the week with 100% on Fisker. Could have been more than that, honestly. So I truly believe that it's the best risk management Discord for options. I don't know if I'm getting the best results in the world for options, probably not, but if we're going to be talking about how the risk is managed, I think so. I could be wrong, I don't know. But yeah, let's take a look at UWMC. It pretty much goes hand in hand with the RKT chart we just looked at. Very similar stock. And it has a very similar chart. It's also creating a little tiny flag over here. Wow. If this can keep holding 541, then there's not a lot to like 633. Look at this. This is why I love historical support resistance. Look how this low, this major low, became a major high right there. This is just direct proof of technical analysis. But yeah, if it can keep holding 541, then you got 633 and pretty much $7 as your next two levels. You said zoom out earlier was a joke. Oh, you're just making a pun there. Gotcha. Well, now we got a double pun. All right, so that's UWMC. What's up, AK? I also forgot to mention, signing up for Premium right now guarantees you access to Champion Vibe Algo, which is going to be my algorithm, my trading algorithm, coming out sometime next year. So you get guaranteed access as long as you remain signed up. If you get annual, you're pretty much going to get, like, you're actually guaranteed because it should be out by next November. If you get monthly, you have to stay signed up until it's out. But whoever's in Premium, once I release the trading bot, gets free access to it. And if you're not in Premium by then you have to pay for it. So if you want all the perks in Premium plus guaranteed access to that whenever it's out, you're pretty much also prepaying something. Not even prepaying something. You're getting something for free, basically, with all the other perks. Then you got you get the next 3 hours to sign up for that. Don't want to share too much on that until it's really in the works and getting close to a much more finished product. So looking forward to that. Let's take a look at some more names from the chat. Snapchat broke above this gap fill level at 1240. That was a pretty key level. So you're getting a little bit of a breakout here on Snapchat. Next resistance is like $15.50. And then 1833. But yeah, it's looking like maybe some white coffee accumulation here taking place. INDI. These are the two big levels, 529 and 828. You've also got this gap fill sitting right around $8. That's pretty much your key resistance zone between those two levels. So that's your next resistance. All right, and that's pretty much it. So thank you for watching tonight's stream. Make sure to hit the like button and the subscribe button. If you're watching in the kick stream, make sure to hit the follow button. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. And again, whop.com, WHOP, whop.com/championvibe. 3 hours left to get 50% off using coupon code Black Friday, all caps, no spaces, at checkout. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you in the Discord tomorrow. Most likely no stream tomorrow night. I have class late at night, but I should be streaming Wednesday and Thursday. So I will see you then. Let's do one more little effect before I head out. Okay. How did I do this earlier? Let's do some balloons before I head out. There we go. Celebrating 10K on Twitter. Thank you again.